Ethan Cole stood at the edge of the observation deck looking out at the red sky above New Haven. The sun was setting behind the tall mountains, casting long shadows over the colony's metal domes and solar panels. It was quiet. Too quiet. Hugh took a deep breath through his mask. Even after 3 years, the air still didn't feel right. It wasn't Earth air. It was filtered, recycled, and mixed with artificial oxygen from the trees grown inside the greenhouse towers. But it kept them alive. New Haven was one of many human colonies hidden far from known space routes. Officially, Earth had only just begun to explore beyond Mars. But that was a lie. Humanity had quietly expanded for decades, building bases, farms, cities, and even factories on distant planets. No one knew. Not the Zalari, not the Virex, not any of the alien species that ruled the stars. Humanity wanted it that way, for now. Ethan was an engineer. He worked on the power grid, making sure the fusion reactors stayed online. Without them, the life support systems would fail. So would the shields, the water recyclers, and everything else that kept people alive on this cold, rocky world. He looked down at the control panel on his wrist. Everything red-green. Still, he felt uneasy. "Cole." A voice called behind him. He turned. It was Lila. She wore her usual gray jumpsuit covered in grease stains and tool pouches. "You're supposed to be off duty," she said. "I know," he replied. "I just like being up here." Lila stepped beside him and looked out. "Thinking again?" "Always." She gave him a tired smile. "You worry too much." "I'm an engineer. Worrying is my job." They stood there for a moment, watching. The last light fade from the sky. Then Lila said, "You heard about the new shipment?" Ethan shook his head. "What's coming in?" "A new AI core. Big one. They say it can run half the city by itself." "That's a fast," Ethan said. "We barely finished upgrading the old system." Lila shrugged. "Orders from above." Above meant the Council, the group of leaders who ran New Haven and the other colonies. No one outside the inner circle ever saw them. They sent messages, gave orders, and sometimes visited in secret. Ethan frowned. Who asked for it? No idea. Just showed up on the manifest. He didn't like surprises, especially not when they came from the top. Chapter 2. The Hidden Truth. 2 days later, Ethan found himself walking through the underground maintenance tunnels beneath the main reactor complex. The walls were cool, lined with thick cables and pipes that pulsed with energy. He was heading to the storage bay where the new AI core had been placed. He wanted to see it for himself. As he walked, he passed rows of sealed doors marked with strange symbols. Most were labeled with numbers or codes he couldn't understand. Some had warning signs. Authorized personnel only. Biohazard. Containment zone. He ignored them. He'd seen those signs before. Usually they were just empty rooms or old equipment storage. But today something was different. A door near the end of the hall was cracked open. Ethan paused. That shouldn't have been possible. All the doors down here were locked. Access required. Biometric scans and clearance. He pushed the door open slowly. Inside was a small room filled with glowing screens and data terminals. The floor was covered in dust. No one had been here in a long time. At the center of the room was a large black box humming softly. Wires ran from it into the wall. It looked like the AI core, but next to it, there was another device. One Ethan didn't recognize. It was shaped like a pyramid made of smooth black metal. Strange lights flickered along its surface. Ethan stepped closer. Suddenly, the screen nearest to him blinked on. Text scrolled across it in lines of code. Then a message appeared. Access denied. Level 9. Clearance required. Ethan jumped back. Had never seen anything like it. The language wasn't standard Terran, it was older, more advanced. He backed away and left the room quickly, heart pounding. Chapter 3. The mentor later that evening, Ethan sat in Dr. Lillian Brooks's office. She was his mentor, one of the few engineers who had been here since the beginning. Her office was cluttered with old books, broken tools, and stacks of paper files, an odd choice in a digital age. She looked up from her desk as he entered. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she said. "Maybe I did," Ethan replied. He told her what he had found. The open door, the hidden room, the strange machine. When he finished, Lillian leaned back in her chair and sighed. "You weren't supposed to see that," she said. "So it's real?" Ethan asked. She nodded. "Yes. And it's not ours." "What do you mean?" She stood and walked to the window. Outside, the lights of the colony glittered against the dark sky. "This whole place," she said, "was built around something we found. Something buried deep under the planet's surface." Ethan stared at her. "It wasn't just us who came here," she continued. "Someone else was here first, long ago." "You're saying this tech isn't human?" "No," she said. "It's alien." Ethan didn't speak for a moment, but why hide it? Because if we told anyone, they'd take it from us. Or worse, they'd destroy it. And we're using it? We're learning from it. Reverse engineering. Building our own versions. Ethan shook his head. "This changes everything." "Yes," Lillian said. "And someday it will change the galaxy." Chapter 4. The Growing Fear Over. The next few weeks, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about what he had learned. He started asking questions. Too many. Why had the council kept this secret? How much more did they know? Where else had they found alien tech? His coworkers began to notice. Some avoided him. Others whispered when he walked past. Even Lillian warned him. "Be careful," she said one night. "There are things you don't need to know." But Ethan couldn't stop. He needed to understand. One day, while working on the reactor's cooling system, he found another hidden terminal. This one was connected to a secure network. With some effort, he managed to access it. What he found shocked him. Files, videos, reports human ships equipped with weapons unlike anything used by Earth's official military. Plans for warships, defense stations, orbital cannons, and worst of all, a list of names. People who had gone missing. Engineers, scientists, civilians, people who had asked too many questions. Ethan closed the file quickly. He realized then that the council wasn't just hiding technology. They were hiding the truth, and anyone who got too close could disappear. Chapter 5. The First Warning. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He lay in his quarters, staring at the ceiling. He thought about Lillian's words, about the files he had seen, about the danger he might be in. Then there was a knock at his door. He froze. It was late. No one visited this late. Another knock. 3 short ones. Then a pause. Then 2 more. It was the signal. The signal for trouble. Ethan opened the door carefully. Standing outside was a woman he didn't recognize. Young, military uniform. Dark eyes. "Ethan Cole?" she asked. "Yes." "You've been asking the wrong questions." He swallowed hard. "Who are you?" "That doesn't matter," she said. "What matters is that you stop digging." "Or what?" She looked at him for a long moment. "Or you'll end up like the others." Then she turned and walked away. Ethan shut the door slowly. He knew then that he couldn't go back. Whatever secrets were buried in New Haven, and in the stars beyond, he had to find them even if it cost him everything. Chapter 1. The Unknown. Signal. Ethan sat alone in his quarters, staring at the message he had received earlier that day. "Your access to the central systems has been restricted." It was short, cold, final. He hadn't even tried to log in since the warning from the woman in uniform. But they knew. They always knew. His hands trembled as he turned off the screen. He felt like a prisoner in his own home. Outside, New Haven buzzed with life. Workers moved between buildings, ships landed and took off from the main port, and children played near the community gardens. But beneath all that normalcy, something was shifting. Rumors spread through the colony. Strange readings picked up. By long-range sensors, a signal unlike any Earth tech could produce. Some said it was just background noise. Others whispered that someone had finally found them. Ethan believed the second one. Chapter 2. Arrival. 3 days later, the sky changed. A bright light streaked across the clouds, followed by a low hum that made the ground shake. Everyone stopped what they were doing. From orbit came a ship unlike anything seen before. It was sleek, dark, and covered in glowing lines. It hovered above the colony for hours, scanning, watching. No one knew who or what it was. Then the message came. A voice, clear and calm, echoed through every speaker in New Haven. "This is the Zalari vessel, Velon. You are in unclaimed space. Identify yourselves." Panic spread through the colony. The council held an emergency meeting. No one outside their circle was allowed to attend. Ethan stood outside the command center, listening through the vents. "They know," someone whispered. Inside, "We have to decide now. Do we hide or do we fight?" There was no answer. Chapter 3. A Dangerous Choice. Later that night, Ethan met Lillian in the old maintenance tunnels. She looked tired, older than usual. "They're debating surrender," she said quietly. "To who?" Ethan asked. "To the Zalari. Some say we should tell them the truth. Others want to destroy everything and run." Ethan shook his head. "Neither option makes sense." "We don't have time to think," she said. "They've sent a landing team." "What?" "A shuttle is coming down now. If we lie, they'll find out. If we tell the truth, they might report us to the rest of the galaxy." Ethan clenched his fists. "We're not ready for this." "No," Lillian agreed. "But it's happening anyway." Chapter 4. First Blood. The Zalari landing team touched down at the edge of the colony. Their suits shimmered with energy shields. Their weapons glowed softly at their sides. They didn't look hostile, but they weren't friendly either. 2. Human representatives went to greet them, diplomats chosen by the council. One was a man named Gregor Hale, head of colonial security. The other was a scientist named Uyaka Dr. Naomi Quinn. They spoke calmly, explaining that New Haven was a peaceful settlement. The Zalari captain listened, then raised a hand. A small drone floated out behind him. It scanned the area, collecting data. Then, without warning, a shot rang out. The Zalari captain staggered back, clutching his side. Chaos erupted, shots fired from the shadows. People screamed. The Zalari guards returned fire, energy blasts lighting up the night. Ethan ducked behind a wall, heart pounding. Someone had attacked the Zalari. But who? More shots. Explosions. Smoke filled the air. Then the Zalari ship lifted off, firing a warning blast into the sky. The message was clear. You will be watched. Chapter 5. Escape Plan. The next morning, the colony was in ruins. Buildings burned. The main power grid was damaged. People were missing. Ethan wandered through the wreckage, searching for answers. He found Lillian near the reactor control room. "They're blaming us," she said. "For what?" "The attack. The Zalari think we did it." "But we didn't." "I know," she said. "But someone wanted this war to start." Ethan looked around. "So what do we do?" Lillian handed him a small device. "Get to the Endeavor. That's the prototype ship," he said. "It's not even finished. It's our only chance." Ethan stared at her. "And you?" "I'm staying. Someone has to hold things together here." He didn't like it, but he understood. He took the device and ran. Chapter 6. The Flight. The Endeavor was hidden deep in the mountains, far from the colony. Ethan reached it after hours of running through cold, rocky terrain. Inside, the ship was quiet. Dark, empty, he powered it. Up using the override code Lillian had given him. Lights flickered. Systems booted. Engines hummed. Then the alarm started. Unauthorized launch detected. Security lockdown engaged. Ethan cursed. He punched in another code, then another. Finally, the locks released. The ship's hatch opened. Inside, he found two others waiting. One was a young pilot named Juno Hayes. She had wild red hair and sharp eyes. The other was a medic named Terry Lang, tall and quiet. "You made it," Juno said. "Barely," Ethan replied. "Let's go." They took off moments before the security drones arrived. The Endeavor shot into the sky, dodging laser fire. Smoke trailed behind them. As they broke through the atmosphere, Ethan looked down at the burning colony. It was over. New Haven would never be the same, and neither would he. Chapter 7. Into the unknown in the cockpit, Juno checked the navigation system. "We're clear," she said. "Now where are we?" "Going?" Ethan looked at the star map. "There's a relay station near Proxima Centauri," he said. "We can send a message from there." "A message to who?" "To Earth," Ethan said. "They need to know what happened." Terry frowned. "What if they already do?" Ethan didn't answer. He thought about the woman in uniform, about the files he'd seen, about the people who had disappeared. Maybe Earth knew more than anyone. Realized. Maybe this was all planned. He pushed the thought away. For now, survival mattered most. He looked out the window at the stars beyond. Humanity had been hiding for too long. Now the galaxy knew they were here, and the war had begun. The Endeavor drifted silently through space. Ethan sat alone in the small cockpit, watching the stars pass by. They were far from New Haven now, weeks away at full speed. Behind them, the colony was gone, or at least it wasn't responding to any messages. No one had followed them yet, but that didn't mean they were safe. Juno and Terry stayed quiet most of the time. They knew as well as he did that this wasn't just about survival anymore. They were fugitives, and they carried secrets that could change everything. Chapter 2. A Hidden Past. 2 weeks into their journey, Juno picked up a signal, weak, old, buried under static. "Could be nothing," she said. "Or it could be important." Ethan leaned closer. "Try boosting the signal." She tapped at the controls. The noise cleared slightly. A voice came through. "Warning, all human colonies, do not trust Earth Command." Then silence. Again, Ethan stared at the screen. "What was that?" Terry asked. "A message," Ethan said. "From someone who knew what was coming." He looked at Juno. "Can you trace it?" "I can try." Hours later, she found something. A hidden relay station orbiting a dead moon near Tau Ceti. It wasn't on any official maps. Ethan made the call. "We go there." Chapter 3. The Ghost Station. The station was old, metal walls covered in dust. Lights flickered like dying stars. Inside, the air was thin but breathable. Machines still ran, barely alive. Ethan led the team through the halls, guns ready. They found the main control room locked down tight. Terry worked the panel while Juno kept watch. Finally, the door opened with a hiss. Inside were shelves of data, drives, broken terminals, and one working console. Ethan stepped forward and activated it. A woman's face appeared on the screen. Her name was Mara Bell. She looked tired, older than her years. "If you're seeing this," she said, "then the truth has finally been found." The message played on. "We tried to warn them. We tried to stop it. But we were too late. Earth Command never wanted peace. They wanted power. The tech we found, it wasn't just weapons, it was knowledge. And they used it to build an empire before the galaxy even knew we existed." Ethan's hands tightened into fists. "If you're hearing this," Mara continued, "you must keep going. Don't trust anyone, not Earth, not the Zalari, not even yourself. The real war is just beginning. The screen went dark. Silence filled the room. Then Terry whispered, "So it was all a lie?" "No," Ethan said. "It was a plan." Chapter 4. The Enemy. Within back on the Endeavor, Ethan replayed the message over and over. Mara Bell had once been part of Earth intelligence. She was one of the few who had tried to expose the truth, but she had disappeared. Now they knew why. Ethan looked at Juno and Terry. "We need to find her," he said. Terry frowned. "She might already be dead." "She might not," Ethan replied. "And if she's alive, she knows more than anyone." Juno checked the ship's systems. "We don't have much fuel left. If we chase ghosts, we might not make it back." "We don't have a home to come back to," Ethan said quietly. Juno sighed. "Fine. Where do we start?" Ethan pulled up a star map. "There's a deep space outpost near Epsilon Eridani. It's off the grid. If Mara survived, she'd go somewhere no one would look." They agreed. The Endeavor turned toward the unknown. Chapter 5. Shadows in the dark. 3 days later, they reached the outpost. It was smaller than expected, just a few modules connected by tunnels, floating in the cold dark. They docked. Carefully, inside it was empty. At first, then a voice came over the speakers. "You shouldn't be here." Ethan raised his weapon. "Who are you?" He called out. Silence. Then footsteps. A figure emerged from the shadows. It was a woman, tall, thin, wearing a torn uniform. Her eyes met Ethan's. "You found me," she said. Ethan lowered his gun. "Mara Bell?" She nodded. "I hoped someone would." Arunar Chapter 6. The Truth Revealed. In the outpost's main room, Mara explained everything. Earth Command had known about the alien tech for decades. They had buried the truth, built secret ships, trained hidden armies, all to prepare for the day when humanity would rise. Not peacefully, but as conquerors. "The Zalari were just the start," Mara said. "They're not the only ones out there. There are others, bigger, stronger, more dangerous." Ethan listened, stunned. "They'll come," Mara warned. "And when they do, we'll either stand together or fall alone." Terry looked scared. "What can we do? We're just 3 people on a broken ship." Mara smiled. "Sometimes that's enough." She handed Ethan a drive. "This contains everything I know. Every secret, every lie. You take it. You decide what to do with it." Ethan took the drive. For the first time, he felt like he held the fate of humanity in his hands. Chapter 7. The First Strike. They left the outpost 2 days later, but they weren't alone. As they broke orbit, alarms blared. "Incoming vessel detected." Ethan rushed to the cockpit. On the screen, a sleek black ship appeared. Zalari. It fired without warning. Energy blasts lit up the sky. Juno pushed the engines to full. "Hold on," she shouted. The Endeavor dodged the first shot. Barely. Then another. Hit the rear. Smoke filled the cabin. "Shields failing," Terry yelled. Ethan looked at the enemy ship. They weren't trying to capture them. They were trying to kill them. Why? He asked himself. Then he realized. The Zalari knew. They had found the truth, and they couldn't let it spread. Chapter 8. The fight for survival. The battle was short and brutal. Juno flew the Endeavor like a ghost, weaving between asteroids and debris. Terry patched the damage as best he could. Ethan watched the enemy ship close in. They were faster, better armed. There was no escape. Then Mara spoke from the back. "There's a way out." Ethan turned. "What?" "In the cargo bay. There's a drone, experimental, designed to mimic enemy signals." Ethan understood. "Can we use it?" "Yes," she said. "But it won't last long." They moved fast. Minutes later, the drone launched. It flew straight toward the Zalari ship, broadcasting a fake distress signal. The enemy changed course. That was all they needed. The Endeavor jumped to warp seconds before the drone exploded. When they came out the other side, the enemy was gone. They were alive. But the message was clear. Someone wanted them dead, and the war had only just begun. Story Chapter 1, A Voice from Earth, The Endeavor. Arrived at a hidden relay station near the edge of human space. It had taken weeks to get here. The ship was damaged. The crew was tired, but they had made it. As soon as they docked, Juno began repairs. While Terry checked their supplies, Ethan sat alone in the cockpit staring at the message he had just sent to Earth. "This is Ethan Cole. We have proof. We know the truth. The Zalari are coming. We must fight." He didn't expect a reply. Earth hadn't responded to any messages since the attack on New Haven. Still, he hoped someone would hear. Someone who still believed in humanity. Chapter 2, The Call to Arms. 2 days later, a signal came through. It was weak, full of static. Then a voice broke through. "Cole, this is Commander Reyes. You were right. We're under attack." Ethan leaned forward. "Reyes, where are you?" "We're holding position near Mars. The Zalari have sent more ships. They want us gone." Ethan's heart pounded. "What do you need?" "Time. Weapons. Help." Ethan looked behind him. Juno and Terry stood there listening. "We're coming," he said. The line went dead. They didn't waste time. They fixed what they could and set course for Mars. Humanity's fate hung in the balance. And now Ethan was ready to fight. Chapter 3, Welcome to the Fight. When the Endeavor arrived at Mars Station, the place was chaos. Ships moved in every direction. Alarms blared. Smoke rose from broken towers. Commander Reyes met them at the docking bay. He was tall, with deep lines on his face. His uniform was torn, but his eyes were sharp. "You made it?" he said. Ethan nodded. "What's the plan?" Reyes led them. Inside, down below, hundreds of soldiers worked non-stop. Engineers rebuilt damaged ships. Scientists studied alien tech. Pilots trained for battle. "This is our last line," Reyes said. "If we lose Mars, we lose everything." Ethan looked around. "How many ships do we have?" "Not enough," Reyes admitted. "But we have something else." "What?" "A reason to fight." Chapter 4, A New Kind of Fleet-In. The command center, Ethan saw what Reyes meant. On the screen, a fleet of ships appeared. Some old Terran models, some new hybrids built from alien parts. "They call it the Ghost Wing," Reyes explained. "Our best pilots, our fastest ships. Your job is to lead them." Ethan stared at him. "Me? You've seen what's out there. You understand how they think. If anyone can turn this around, it's you." Ethan didn't feel like a leader, but he knew one thing. He couldn't let Earth fall. "I'll do it," he said. Chapter 5. Training the team over the next week, Ethan trained the Ghost Wing. He taught them everything he had learned, from flying through asteroid fields to dodging enemy fire. Juno became his second in command. She was fast, smart, and fearless. Terry stayed behind to help with medical support, but he also helped design better armor for the pilots. Mara worked with the engineers, showing them how to use captured Zalari tech. Together, they turned a group of scattered fighters into a real team. One night, as they stood outside the base, Ethan asked Mara, "Do you really think we can win?" She looked up at the stars. "I don't know," she said, "but I know we have to try." Chapter 6, The Battle of Epsilon. The first major test came quickly. A Zalari armada approached the Epsilon system. Their goal: destroy the main human supply line. Without it, Earth wouldn't last another month. Commander Reyes gave the order. "Ghost Wing, launch." Ethan climbed into his cockpit. His hands shook, not from fear, but from purpose. This was it. The moment everything changed, the fleet jumped to warp. Minutes later they arrived at Epsilon. The sky was filled with enemy ships, big ones, fast ones, deadly ones. Ethan took a breath. "This is Ghost Leader," he said over comms. "Stick close, watch each other's backs, let's show them what humans can do." The battle began. Lasers lit up the dark. Missiles exploded in clouds of fire. Ethan flew low, weaving between enemy ships. He targeted their fuel tanks, their engines, their shields. One by one, the Zalari ships fell. Juno covered him from above. Terry coordinated from the base. Mara hacked into enemy systems, slowing them down. They fought hard, and when the last Zalari ship exploded, the comm channel filled with cheers. They had won. Chapter 7. A dangerous idea back at base, the mood was high. For the first time, humanity had beaten the Zalari in open combat, but Ethan wasn't celebrating. He stood alone in the strategy room, looking at a star map. Something was wrong. The Zalari had attacked too soon, too small, like they were testing humanity, waiting for something bigger. He turned to Mara. "There's something else," he said. "A weapon, maybe." She frowned. "What kind?" "I don't know. But if we find it before they use it, we might be able to stop them for good." Mara thought for a moment. "There's an old story," she said, "about a satellite orbiting a dead world. It was built long before the Zalari, before any of us." Ethan looked at her. "What does it do?" "They say it can disable entire fleets." Ethan's eyes widened. "That's exactly what we need." Chapter 8. The Dead World Finding. The satellite wasn't easy. It took weeks of searching, decoding ancient signals, and flying through dangerous space. Finally, they found it. An enormous structure floating around a planet that no longer lived. The satellite was silent, dormant, but powerful. Ethan and his team landed on its surface. Inside, they found control panels covered in dust. Juno worked the systems. Terry guarded the entrance. Mara translated the alien symbols. "It's not just a weapon," she said. "It's a shield, a defense system." Ethan stepped closer. "Can we activate it?" Mara nodded. "Yes, but only once." Ethan made the call. "We do it." They powered the satellite up, lights blinked, systems rebooted, then a voice echoed through the halls. "Defense protocol engaged. Target locked." Outside, the sky filled with Zalari ships. They had followed them, and now they were trapped. Chapter 9. The End of the Beginning. The satellite fired. A pulse of energy swept across the battlefield. Zalari ships lost power. Engines failed. Weapons shut down. One by one, they drifted lifelessly into space. Some tried to escape. None did. Ethan watched from the Endeavor as the enemy armada vanished. Silence followed. Then, the comm crackled. "Cole, is that you?" It was Commander Reyes. "Yes," Ethan replied. "You just saved Earth." Ethan didn't answer. He looked at the stars. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. For Chapter 1. A New Kind of Peace. The silence after the battle was strange. No alarms, no explosions, no screams, just stars. Ethan stood at the observation window of the Endeavor, watching the last Zalari ships drift lifelessly through space. It was over. Humanity had won. But it didn't feel like victory. Behind him, Juno leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "You did it," she said quietly. Ethan didn't smile. "We did." She walked up beside him. "You know what this means, right?" He nodded. "Everyone will know who we are now." "Not just know," she said. "They'll fear us." Ethan looked down at his hands. He had started as an engineer, just trying to keep the lights on. Now, he was a soldier, a leader, a symbol, and he wasn't sure he liked it. Chapter 2. Homecoming. A week later, the Endeavor returned to Earth. The sky above Mars Station was full of ships, some human, some from other species that had watched the war unfold. Diplomats waited, scientists gathered. Reporters followed every move. Ethan stepped off the ship to a crowd of cameras and voices. "Commander Cole, over here. What do you think this means for humanity? Did you expect this outcome?" He didn't answer. He walked past them, all toward the waiting officers. Commander Reyes met him halfway. "You've changed everything," he said. "I just wanted to survive," Ethan replied. Reyes smiled. "That's what heroes always say." Chapter 3. The Price of Power In. The days that followed, Ethan became a hero. Speeches were made in his name, monuments were built. Songs were sung about the man who saved Earth. But not everyone saw him as a hero. Some called him a killer. Others whispered that the war could have ended without so much bloodshed. Even among Earth's leaders there was disagreement. At a private meeting with the United Terran Council, Ethan sat in silence as they debated. "We should expand," one general said. "Take control of nearby systems before someone else does." "No," Ethan finally spoke. "We should protect what we have." The room turned to him. One woman, a diplomat named Senator Carol Dunes, asked, "What would you suggest?" Ethan looked around the table. "We don't need more land," he said. "We need peace. We need time." There was silence. Then a voice from the back. "You sound like you're done fighting." Ethan didn't answer, because maybe he was. Chapter 4. Goodbyes. Later that night, Ethan found Mara in the old training yard. She was packing her things. "You're leaving?" he asked. She nodded. "I never planned to stay." He walked closer. "Where will you go?" "Out there." She pointed to the sky. "There's still work to be done, truths to uncover, lies to stop." Ethan understood. "I'm sorry I couldn't keep you safe," he said. Mara gave him a small smile. "You kept me alive long enough to make a difference." She handed him a small drive. "This has everything I learned, about the aliens, about Earth, about us." Ethan took it. "Thank you," he said. She looked at him one last time. "You're not finished yet, Ethan. Not by a long shot." Then she turned and walked away. Chapter 5. The weight of command weeks passed. Ethan stayed on Earth, but he felt out of place. People looked at him differently now, like he was something more than human. He trained new pilots. He helped rebuild lost colonies. He even visited schools telling kids about the stars, but inside he felt hollow. Juno noticed. "You don't belong here," she told him one day. He looked at her. "Maybe not." She smiled. "So why stay?" He didn't answer. He knew the truth. Earth was no longer home, not really. Chapter 6. The ghost ship. One morning, Ethan stood on the edge of the docking bay. The Endeavor was being repaired, upgraded. It would soon belong to someone else, but not yet. He walked aboard, running his hand along the cold metal walls. Inside, he found Terry working on the medical bay. "You thinking of going somewhere?" Terry asked. Ethan smiled. "Maybe." Terry looked up. "You can't run forever, you know." "I'm not running," Ethan said. "I'm looking." "For what?" "A reason." Terry shook his head. "You already found it." Ethan didn't reply. He went to the cockpit and powered up the ship. The engines hummed. The lights blinked. For the first time in weeks, he felt like himself again. Chapter 7. Into the Unknown. Again, Ethan left Earth quietly. No speeches, no reporters, no farewell parties, just him, the Endeavor, and the open sky. He flew beyond the colonies, past known space, toward the outer edges of the galaxy. There, rumors spread of a ghost ship, a lone vessel that appeared when trouble came. It protected traders from pirates. It rescued lost colonists. It fought back against slavers. No one knew who piloted it, but those who saw it called it the Warden, and some believed it was Ethan Cole, still watching, still protecting, still searching. Chapter 8. The future of humanity, back on Earth. The world changed. With the Zalari weakened, other alien powers stepped forward. Some offered peace. Others tested humanity's strength. New nations formed in space. Some loyal to Earth, others independent. War didn't end, but neither did hope. Children grew up hearing stories of the boy who rose from the ground to the stars, of the man who fought not for conquest, but for survival, of the pilot who disappeared into the dark but never stopped watching. Years passed, generations changed, and still, the Endeavor flew, somewhere, always. Chapter 9. The final words. On a distant colony, a young girl sat under the stars. She held a small book. Its cover was worn, its pages yellowed. She opened it and read, "We were not born to rule, we were not meant to conquer, but we were never meant to be ignored. We are human, and we are here to stay." She looked up at the sky. A single light moved across the darkness, fast, silent, gone in a moment. She smiled and whispered, "Thank you,